remember when President Yoon Suk-yeol came to the United States of America, he quoted something similar to this, how our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met. It's on the monument of the Korean War Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. for those who paid the ultimate price and all those who served. Here to the Korean War Memorial. I was moved by many of the Korean citizens who, with their small children, would come to this place and tell their children how so many around the world came to help them during a difficult time. And as I was listening to the story of the Korean War, once again, that happened between 1950 and 1953, there's so many details that I wasn't aware of. And so a part of the story begins with North Korea wanting all of the peninsula after World War II. That is the context of the Koreas. So a colonized Korea, World War II, and now what is Korea going to be? And Kim Il-sung and Mao Zedong and Stalin, Kim Il-sung wanting all of Korea. And so having tremendous military support from the Soviets to come down and at the very beginning taking so many forces and the US was there providing support all the way down close to Busan until an amazing Incheon landing by General MacArthur, which then was able to cut off the supply line of that force and the Busan perimeter that North Korea had created, effectively being able to capture most of the Soviet support. But at the same time, they had the support of China, Mao Zedong. And so the Chinese army, and so as the US Army pushed up, passing the 38th parallel, heading up northward and getting closer to China, the Chinese were there ready to fight. And many of these were actually soldiers from Taiwan who were forced to fight. And then, because this force was so overwhelming, pushing once again all the way, with Seoul being captured now twice, and you can imagine all the refugees, all the people that were struggling to survive during this time. I thought about my own family my own parents who had been born during this time, and there was this statue of this one grandmother who had a little girl in hand. Well, it kind of reminded me of my grandmother who would have had a 2-year-old, my mom who was a baby and pregnant and separated from my grandfather at the time because he was preparing something down south as a refugee during this very difficult conflict. And they're just an example of so many during this time. I'm reminded of the many brave American soldiers who Korea remembers. I love how Korea does not forget what happened during this time and the great sacrifice. The 36,000 and more who paid the ultimate price. That's a memory that comes to my mind of many who fought for a country that they probably had never seen or heard of, for that matter. And then the continuing conflict that continues even to today. And tomorrow we'll have a chance to see the DMZ. But I'm just thinking about how the country for so many years has been divided at the 38th parallel, a country that had been for 1,000 years one country. It's just a very sobering thought to think of the many divided families. And one reason why the unification has been so difficult between the North and the South is at that time there was a decision made that POWs would be returned from both sides. But there are some from the South that were South Koreans who had been forced to serve in the North Korean army, that of course wouldn't want to go back, and then North Korea claimed the same on their side. And as a result, there continues to be probably POWs who have died or they're very old at this point, but because of the refusal to deny these forced migrations, it's very difficult to find peace, and a lot of the peace talks over the decades has fallen short on this one piece. So really awesome time to just remember this very important event, the resilience of the Korean people, the resilience of others that came in support of Korea, and the continuing pain and loss that so many must still feel with the country divided in this kind of way, so suddenly, so abruptly, and at the same time, a hope that there might be something better for the future.